Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in on the internet. This is Sense of the Union, a production of the Party of Reason and Progress. And tonight, we're going to try something new. We're going to do a live commentary of the State of the Union. And today with me, I have Molly Sheehan, running for Congress in Pennsylvania District 7, Robert Mason, running for Congress in Texas District 3, and Matt Miller, from the state of Michigan, running for State Senate in District 18. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So we're just about ready to be amazed. We got about 15, 20 minutes left here, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to give you all just a few minutes to kind of talk about your campaigns and how things are going. So, Molly, we'll let you start.
Thanks. Yeah, we've had what is probably the craziest week you could possibly have in a congressional campaign. Our incumbent Congressman, Pat Meehan, had his soulmate scandal where he took his subordinate out for ice cream and told her she was his soulmate, but it was not romantic. I don't know what that means. So he is not running for re-election. And the next day or 2 days later, our state Supreme Court threw out our congressional map. So they have to redraw it. And we don't know what our petitions are. So we don't know the lines. And then lots of new people think they want to run. So we don't know our primary opponents, our general opponents, or the lines that we're running in. So it's a little crazy this week.
I see you have your campaign manager there with you.
I do. She's very active. She's a very active campaigner. She's my number one literature passer-outer. Yeah, but things are going really well. Running on issues, it's what people want. I mean, it's what you guys are about too, that people want real solutions to real problems. They want to talk about what's happening in their lives and not just a bunch of rhetoric, which we're about to hear from other people.
Absolutely. And I know that you've been on the podcast with our team there too at Politics Within Reason. But just in case you're new to some of our viewers today, why don't you tell the audience on how they can find out more about your campaign, especially if they're in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so we are at mollysheehan.org, and on Facebook we're at Sheehan for Congress, and on Twitter I'm at Pensy Molly, and we have a full platform on the website. So if you're interested in finding out more about my campaign and my issues, it's all up there.
Great, thank you, Robert. How's Texas? Are you guys out of the freezing cold yet?
We are out of the 20 degrees that we experienced last week. We're into the 40s at night, 50s and 60s by day by now.
That you guys got a definite cold spell this season, didn't you? This was quite uncommon weather for the state of Texas.
It's been getting more and more curious year after year.
Yeah,
Yes.
So that's definitely pressing some of the issues about climate change that has been quite pushed to the back lately by our current administration.
Can we use the term climate change on this podcast?
We absolutely can. We don't really have any limitations on words we can or cannot use.
It's questionable language in some circles these days.
It is, but that's why we have folks like you trying to represent the people with science and reason.
That's exactly right. Yeah, thank you for having me tonight. This is a wonderful idea. I'm excited to see how the commentary goes through the State of the Union.
Yeah, this should be interesting. This is my first time doing it too. So you've been definitely busy. I followed you on Facebook and all of your activities lately. Is there any updates that you want to give the PORP community, in particular anyone in Texas listening?
Well, it's been an interesting campaign for sure. This is a highly contested seat. It's the first time it's become available in 28 years.
Oh, wow.
And this is a traditionally very red Republican district through and through. There's been a lot of demographic change, particularly in the last decade. So we have a number of both Democratic contenders for the seat, and then actually two independent contenders as well, one of them being myself. And I'm doing it for exactly the reason that you said, to represent the people, not get wrapped up in party politics, and just be a holistic voice in the House.
Awesome. And we have not only one of our PORP members, but also Michigan citizen turning politician, Matt Miller from the state of Michigan, running for state senate out of District 18. Is that right, Matt? District 18?
Yes. Yeah,
And you-
District 18.
And you just started the kickoff of your campaign recently. Is that right?
Yep. Just at the beginning of the month on January 2nd, we filed to be on the ballot here. In that month, we have seen an explosion of growth across various forms of social media. We've been tracking it. It's growing faster than any campaign here in the state. So we've been able to kind of utilize that momentum and start pushing boots to the ground to start getting our message out here. We are in a pocket of liberalism here in Southeast Michigan, and it's the only pocket in the state. The state's generally red the further north you go. So it's kind of nice personally, I'm around like-minded people, but understandably, when I'm, referring to the other candidates, there's more to the state than just Ann Arbor. There's more to the state than just Southeast Michigan.
So I'm watching the stream in the background, and our viewers are watching it now too. Looks like the president is just getting into the presidential limousine to head over. So I'm going to turn up the audio of the stream in the background just so we can hear a little bit of what's going on, but we can definitely continue to talk about all the great things that you guys are doing. So Matt, tell me, this is kind of your first run into politics. You're getting your feet wet. How has the perception of people been about someone so young running for the state senate, and has that worked to your benefit, or?
It's a mix. A lot of people are worried. I'm 22 years old, and they're worried. How do you know you're not going to get walked over? How do you know you're not going to get, to use, or lack of a better word, bullshitted by people who have been in the game for decades?
Right.
The reality of the situation is that, I have a strong team with me. I have people of all ages, ethnicities. We are a very diverse team, and a lot of people with a lot of political knowledge. So I don't see that as being an issue. We're all about, bringing a voice to people who don't have a voice. We're looking at, the political have-nots of the community, and they're happy that there's someone who is stepping into the areas of the district that generally get neglected and reaching out to them, talking to them, not as a politician, but as a fellow member of the community, someone who's concerned.
Absolutely. So Robert and Molly, both of you have very different backgrounds than the political space. Molly, I know you were in a scientific field, correct?
Yeah, I still work. I'm a bioengineer at the University of Pennsylvania. I have a PhD in biophysics.
Mm-hmm.
And currently I'm working on projects building new tools for cancer research.
Oh, wow. So how did you make the jump from the science field into politics? What was your motivation to do that?
Well, all of 2016 was pretty motivating, but honestly, it was the Access Hollywood tape, not so much the tape itself, but the national excusing and forgetting of it. And I think a lot of women felt that way, that we just weren't as far as we thought we were, and that I don't want my daughter to have to suffer the same abuses. And science isn't always the most friendly place for women either. But, just seeing what we elected to the White House in terms of women's rights, in terms of how he treats women in his interpersonal life. And it's really what you see what's happening with the Me Too movement now. But why I decided to run for Congress specifically was to push for single payer healthcare in a way that's fiscally responsible, in a way that really brings in all of us that are making the tools for healthcare, that are making drugs, and talking about all of the structural problems to the system that make our healthcare so expensive to begin with, so that we can implement broad expansions without hiking taxes.
And Robert, what about you? What's your background?
So you're right, it's slightly different from Molly's. I grew up very Republican, went to military school, graduated with a degree in international studies and political science from Virginia Military Institute in 2000. Went to work for Navy intelligence for some time right after 9/11. And eventually made my way back to North Texas, where I started into investment banking. Eventually migrated north to Pittsburgh, where I completed an MBA at Carnegie Mellon University. I arrived on the ground in Pittsburgh the summer of 2008, to study finance. And in September of 2008, finance ceased to be an industry that we supported in this country. So I found myself pursuing more entrepreneurial ventures. And after graduation, returned to Texas, where I founded a small software company in Austin, Texas, and still do some consulting work for an investment fund up in Pittsburgh.
Well, see, I think all three of you are providing great models for a lot of people like me as well. I mean, I share the entrepreneurial spirit with you, Robert, and part of the frustration, not just in the PORP community, but I think America as a whole. We joke about it, but it's really not something to joke. There are so many people, 65% plus of America, that are against our current administration. But when we look at it, really, I think not only are we against administration, but we're against the same old logic and broken system in our government. And I think we really need to kind of take an outside view. I think we need people from outside spaces that haven't been in the political space before, that have to deal with problem solving, like finding cures for cancer and writing software and being a business entrepreneur and understanding what it's like growing up in a world that you don't agree with, in the case of Matt. So it's refreshing to see this, and I hope that our community and all the efforts that you guys are doing really push forward to change. I mean, as you both know, you both are endorsed candidates by PORP, and we're continuing to expand that reach. We have a whole list of candidates that are going out in the next couple weeks on PORP's page, and our strategy is to kind of help support those candidates get recognized on social media and get people aware of their platforms. And I just want to put a call out to anyone that's listening. If you have a candidate in your area that you think would be a good prospect to be endorsed by PORP, go to our website and click on the endorsement link, or send that link to their campaign, or reach out to us on Facebook. Also, if you want to comment in any of our streams that we're publishing on today and join in the conversation, feel free to do that. So it looks like in the background here, is everyone watching? Can everyone see the stream? So it looks like people are starting to arrive now. I'm going to turn up the audio just a little bit more. So did you guys read any of the comments that, or I shouldn't say comments, but releases of his speech today that the White House sent out?
No, I didn't realize they had.
Yeah. So
was there anything juicy?
Well, there's nothing really super juicy, but of course it's open hand. Let's work together. Let's work on these issues and basically start over in a way. But there's some speculation that there's going to be a hot topic that's supposed to make news tomorrow about the North Korean issue at hand. So I'm kind of interested to see what our commander-in-chief has to say about that tonight.
Historically, things have not gone better when he starts talking about it.
No, and it would be interesting to know how many people around the world are actually tuning in to our State of the Union. And I know it's a pretty well-watched broadcast, regardless of who's in the president's office. But this year in particular, this has to be something that a lot of eyeballs are on today.
It's definitely a strange time.
Announcing an investigation into the FBI.
I never thought I would see a time like this, personally.
He's had a truly bizarre first year. And, this is now how he justifies that to the United States, to U.S. citizens everywhere, and tells us what he has roadmapped looking forward, which could be terrifying, depending on what he's prepared to talk about. So I think this is going to be a well-watched event. This has to be more interesting to most Americans right now than another Patriots Super Bowl.
And again, it's not something to laugh about, but you got to find humor in every day some way possible. I kind of feel, once Trump got elected, I became politically activated. And that was really kind of unexpected for me, because I thought things would kind of continue at least in a format of status quo for the country. But I'll tell you, in a matter of a year, I feel like I've become a fanatic about politics, almost like you would have a sports fan, going crazy about their favorite football team. And it's interesting, and I think it's good, and I'm hoping that more young people, Matt, you're an example. A lot of our PORP community is an example. I hope a lot more people are getting fired up about it.
I mean, that's what did it for me is, I was sitting up all night watching the election results, kind of having to come to terms with him becoming the president, and watching over the next 2 weeks, hearing all these reports of hate crimes about emboldened white supremacist groups. I was following a woman on Twitter who is every day updating a list of things that he's changing, things that are, becoming the new normal, so we can keep track of, where we've kind of gone awry. And I think it was, leading up to, start getting involved with PORP in 2016, like right after, there was the big launch right after the election. Was it the 11th or something? Coming up to like this December, I've always been curious, and I got really fired up this last year. And then this fall, really got into it, started studying journalism communications. And then, this December, I sat down with another candidate for the same race I'm running for. When I spoke with this candidate about running, I was told, don't finish your education first. And that kind of put me over the edge. But I agree, watching the state of our country, where it's gone in the last year, was definitely put a fire in me.
Molly, you look like you had something you wanted to add to that conversation.
Oh, no, sorry. I might
It's
have
okay.
been talking to a toddler from not talking.
So let's take a vote. Or I guess maybe not a vote. Let's place some bets. What do we think we're going to hear tonight? Some speculation.
But you could say it's political, or you could say it's a free speech issue, depending
Well,
on
if the convention was any indication of these kinds of events, he's going to try to push more fear mongering to try to rile up his base, even though he's speaking to Congress. I hope that's not true. I hope I'm wrong on that bet. But yeah, I think he's probably going to push the national security issues, and that he's strong on it, and try to pump himself up in his first year and claim things that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I am willing to bet we're going to hear a lot about economics too. If he doesn't mention the Dow a few times, I'll be very surprised.
I think definitely the shutdown's going to be brought up. It's new news. It's obviously not his fault, right? So that's gonna come up. He's gonna obviously take a couple cheap shots at Democrats sitting in the crowd and in general.
Yeah, the economy is an interesting topic. I mean, everyone's really excited to see the Dow go up and excited to talk about these unbelievable tax benefits. But, just the other day I saw on Facebook that the Kleenex conglomerate was laying off 5,000 people. And, kind of like the old saying, what goes up must come down. What I see in the market is that there's really no support within the market to actually warrant the numbers that we're seeing. So for me, that's kind of a signal that we're going to see a pretty decent, downsize of that market, I think sometime within the year. But I'm not an expert. That's just my guess.
How many people have delivered the response to a State of the Union and gone on to become
There's Bernie.
That's one.
H.W. Bush.
Did not do a response.
He did.
Kind of the live stream right now. The lawmakers who are boycotting the event tonight.
There was quite a few.
Yeah, they showed about a dozen there. And that's just a handful of them.
Kornacki has these. Oh, here's Melania.
Oh, Melania's arriving.
Entering. Oh, great. I can always use some. More pairs. Melania Trump now has entered the chamber. Anthony Scaramucci has joined us. Anthony, come over here.
Is he mic'd up?
Anthony, come say hi.
And NBC has Anthony Scaramucci with their commentators. Sorry.
You are mic'd
Gotta give it to him. It was like the shortest amount of time someone used to launch their career like this. 10 days.
Well, your comments often are pretty funny, so keep
It was pretty horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. I always felt like with Scaramucci, it was like when you're in your TV show and they bring in like too big of an actor that's playing too over the top, and you know they're going to kill him off or like get him off the show. Like it can't last the whole season. I felt that way the whole time he was there. Like, this can't last. Like, this is like the celebrity cameo. It's too much.
This whole thing has been too much. Did you see the video where they were taking excerpts from the press secretary and how she likes to use the word "look"? And it's it's kind of a tell word though. I mean, everyone has kind of a word of hesitation. It might be "but anyways" or "for example" or right? And hers just seems to be like "look." But I've always been trying to look at her speeches to see if that's her tell when she's really trying to say things that she really doesn't want to say or she believes in, like she's doing her job.
I don't think we have to hand it off until Donald Trump.
I mean,
So you get us until
can't be very exciting to get up and just get on TV every day and deliver the great news.
I don't know. I mean, seems like he's doing an okay job. I mean, listen.
I
I
wouldn't.
mean, in all reality, I think that they view it as, I mean, there's no wrongdoing ever. That they're always right, and everyone's a protagonist in their own story.
Everyone here gets paid to sort of speculate about them, but I mean, so far, he's been there a year. They were talking about Gary Cohen 6 months ago.
Scaramucci has some great things to say. Let's take a listen.
My bet is he stays at least another year. He's got this whole infrastructure thing that he's going to work on.
Ryan Zinke is apparently out of favor too. What's going on with him?
Is he? I don't know. I like him. So something happened there, I guess, with the Florida.
Wilbur Ross apparently out of favor as well. Donald Trump says he's lost a step because he's falling asleep in meetings.
Listen, come on.
Could we be looking at a Scaramucci cabinet appointment?
No.
Scaramucci cabinet appointment?
Senate confirmation hearings?
Ooh, no, I don't think so.
How much fun would I be? All the people that you'd like to see at the Senate confirmation hearing.
It would be interesting.
Which is the main reason why it would never happen. But I'm just saying, how much fun would I have at a Senate confirmation?
I would certainly watch that.
Right. I mean, also, look, I don't know. I think those guys are by and large doing a good job. I think that you've got some staffing issues. That's something you guys are probably reporting on. But you know that underneath these guys, you've got a lot of holes. They've got to be filled.
We got to toss over to our the mothership here. Let's pick up the NBC coverage. We will be back on the other side. So keep watching.
Looking presidential. That was a year ago. What are we looking for tonight?
Get the
Now
popcorn.
he has a year to talk about, and what a year it's been. I would say it was
That's what we should have done. We should have made some popcorn.
consequential, big ticket items getting done, and stylistic.
I think I got some covered. It might be expired.
We saw some of that in the open to the show just now. So the president has a story to tell. He's got some headwinds at his back. He's got a good economy to talk about. He's got the tax cuts he was able to get through. He has a Supreme Court justice sitting in that audience. That was incredibly important to his supporters. And yet he has an approval rating that's the lowest of any president at this moment in their tenure. And what's the disconnect? It's Donald Trump. So he has to sell himself tonight. And now people have had a year to get to know him. And positions calcify. This is one of those rare moments in a presidency where you get a chance to reintroduce yourself.
All right, and Chuck, you and I attended a largely off-the-record luncheon with the president and some other journalists today. But on the record, he talked about the difference, what he's learned over the last year.
Right.
That the businessman is always trying to win, when he's learned that there's heart. I'm paraphrasing him now, but for the need for heart. When you heard that, did you think we're going to see a different President Trump tonight?
We might, but
You guys, I'm going to jump off for 1 second. We're getting some reports of the stream being a little bit quiet, so I'll be right back.
A lot of President Trump. President Trump is constantly communicating with the American public himself via social media, on television all the time. He is a very omnipresent person in a way we've never seen before. So I think the difficulty for him is how do you make tonight special to make people that somehow it penetrates in a way that other stuff doesn't. And so I don't know if he's going to have that.
You guys, I'm going to jump off for 1 second. We're We're getting some reports of the stream being a little bit quiet, so I'll be right back.
And he's realistic about it, and he realizes, well, a lot of my supporters are going to be watching, maybe some hate watchers. I don't know if the middle is watching. I hope they are, and if they are, I'll use it to try to tout my tax bill. I think at the end of the day, if he gets more people to like his tax plan, then this is a good speech for him politically. But beyond that, I don't know how much big things he can accomplish tonight, because I just think nothing. We're not, State of the Unions haven't been as special as they used to be, and this president is so omnipresent.
We're minutes away from the president entering the room. While we wait for that, Megyn Kelly, give us your thoughts. What are you looking for tonight? What do you expect from the president?
I expect very little, because these events tend to be utterly forgettable, and this one probably will be too. I mean, I think the one thing that he has going for him is he's Donald Trump, and he makes everything more exciting, for good or for bad. And so we'll see what Donald Trump can do in his first State of the Union that other presidents have failed to do, which is make it interesting and exciting and actually get people talking about it. And there's a question about, you know, the campaign slogan, "Let Trump be Trump." Well, is that going to happen tonight, or are we going to get teleprompter Trump, who just reads and is far less dynamic and memorable? And they're talking about Trump sounding conciliatory tonight, which leads me to say, what does that look like? How can the man that we've watched all this time come out there and be conciliatory?
And would that disappoint some of his faithful?
Absolutely, especially, I mean, to whom? To the 3% of Democrats who approve of him right now? Like, who is he going to be reaching out to? That's
all right, here is the Sergeant at Arms of the House of Representatives, Paul Irving.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Operating on time and greeting those who are along the aisle, which we've learned that's something that people stake out for hours for a position where they can greet the president as he walks in the room. Savannah.
And Casey Hunt is our Capitol Hill correspondent who's got the best seat in the House. Casey, we can not see you, but we can hear you. What are you seeing?
Savannah, good evening. We are actually
Here
seeing
goes
right
nothing.
now that there are members of the Congressional Black Caucus who are remaining seated as the president walks into the House chamber. He is coming slowly up the aisle, which is a dramatic scene I'm sure that our viewers are able to look at, even though I can't see the same thing.
Are you
that
guys
they are
watching
seeing.
it from the YouTube stream or from the PORP stream?
I'm watching the YouTube stream.
What really is such a divided era. A year ago, there were some Democrats who came into this speech.
I'm told that the PORP stream looks like maybe it's having some trouble.
I think it's just delayed. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, it's like a couple seconds
Oh, there
behind.
it is. Okay, you're right. Yep, the PORP stream's on.
And it's very difficult to overstate the emotional anger that some members of this House of Representatives feel towards this president. And Nancy Pelosi, the House Minority Leader, had urged her members not to walk out of this speech, not to make it about them instead of about what the president was going to say tonight. And it appears that they have found something of a middle ground in this sign
You guys see
of
that?
some level of disrespect, Savannah.
All right, Casey Hunt on the Hill.
Anya, she
We
seems
saw a picture a moment ago. Some of the women
interested?
members, Democratic members, wearing black, noting the
Well, this is the
movement.
first
You're gonna see
time
a lot
she's
of
been out
statements,
in public
some
since
not
the
so
whole
subtle in this chamber tonight.
Right.
Andrea Mitchell, your thoughts
Stormy
while we wait for
thing
President
went
This
down.
is a big moment, obviously, for the president, but it's noteworthy that the Democrats have been advised not to do anything that is rude. Remember that Joe Wilson moment when he shouted out, "You lie," at President Obama, which was so notable. We see there Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer,
where's
who
Mitch
has,
McConnell?
among all the Supreme Court justices, attended most often these events. They don't have to attend. It's a matter of personal preference. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is up in Rhode Island at an appearance tonight, so she's not here. But he always makes sure that he is here. As we see the president approaching the podium, this is a big question. He's got foreign policy challenges and a domestic policy to sell, the tax cuts and the economy.
Yeah, 4 members of the Supreme Court attending tonight. Tom, as we await the president to take the podium, he will have a short amount of time on this laundry list in a year of midterm elections.
I've been watching him since he was 34 years old, and at the end of every day, he considered himself one of the greatest salesmen in the world. The fact that he sells sizzle more often than he does substance doesn't get in his way. He has utter confidence in what he's saying. That's how he got to be the president. Even the ups and downs during all of this, he's not lost faith in himself. There's never any self-doubt. His speech tonight is expected to be different than what we've been hearing from him. We'll see how he carries out that speech in the days to come. That's the important part of it.
And relishing the applause there, and a lot of, as we said, invited guests here, each telling a story of their own. First Lady Melania Trump has a number of guests who will be referred to as we await the president's remarks.
I think it could be a rowdy gallery. There's a lot of invited
Be nice
guests.
if it were true.
And the gallery is, I know, where everybody's talked about Nancy Pelosi warning House Democrats not to do anything. But the gallery, they don't listen to leadership. They're not members of Congress.
Yep. So far, this seems like it's the screen portion of his speech.
Yeah, he's slow. He's not animated.
No.
It feels a little. It feels like it's a loud.
We just saw Nancy Pelosi also quieting her troops. She was marshaling them next to Steny Hoyer.
And let's not forget, as we see Attorney General Sessions, this is a president who's under criminal investigation right now for obstruction of justice with regard to the Russia investigation. So a lot going on in the backdrop.
I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
There is a missing major figure in this hall tonight that we ought not to forget about, and that is the special prosecutor of the United States, who is at this hour probably meeting with his team, deciding where they go to.
He sort of hovers over the chamber, doesn't he?
That is an extraordinarily important part of what's going on in Washington, D.C. And despite all of the grandeur of this setting and the television photos and the members of the Supreme Court, members of the cabinet, out there is a highly regarded investigator who is looking into whether or not he broke the law.
The things that he's mentioning, doesn't he have the ability to influence every one of them?
Of the United States and my fellow
You're
Americans.
absolutely right. He's talking about storms. Yeah, Puerto Rico still doesn't have power to 100% of its community.
That's exactly right. Yeah, he personally has the power to do something about it, and the other one could be a gun control issue.
Their hopes and their dreams. That night,
He's almost presenting disasters like they're good things that allow us to shine.
Yeah, exactly. They're great because they allow us to come together.
Yeah, it's like proving our first responders who shouldn't have to fight so many
across our
things.
land. Each day since, we have
Or
gone
climate
forward with
change
a
for a
clear
lot of these
vision
things.
and a
Fires,
righteous
storms.
mission
Sure.
to make America great again for all Americans. Over the last year, we have made incredible progress and achieved extraordinary success. We have faced challenges we expected.
You think he's going to
and
mention
others
people
we
who helped in
could
Puerto
never
Rico?
have imagined. We have shared
He
the
did
heights
throw a
of
lot of paper
victory
towels.
and the pains of hardship. We have endured
That'll clean up a hurricane.
fires and storms.
He's a media guy, and that media never went in his favor.